Okay, well, perfect. I mean, I know we're only a minute past midday, but I think we should get started. For anyone that's not here that was planning to come, this is indeed recorded, but this first part will just sort of be a little bit of an introduction to me and to sort of Nomisma as a concept, and then hopefully by then I'll sort of start getting into the product and showcase the power of Nomisma. So my name is Rhys Munch. Contrary to what you probably see on the screen as Ashley Hall, I'm not Ash. We share a Zoom account, so I sort of do the webinars. But yes, my name is Rhys, and I am one of the account managers here at Nomisma. So my purpose of today really is to just give you sort of a shallow view of what Nomisma is. I won't go into too much detail sort of per module, but I'll just sort of give you an overview of the system end to end, how it works, how it really is sort of an end-to-end whole accounting suite. So a little bit about Nomisma. So Nomisma's been around for about 6 years. So we haven't just come out of nowhere. If you haven't heard of us before, then that would explain sort of why you wouldn't have heard of us before. And that was essentially because Nomisma was built as an in-practice tool. So it was built in-house quite a while ago. And in the past couple of years, since the marketing, R&D investment, and we are now in a position to be able to offer this to the sort of the wider world, let's say. So hopefully I will do Nomisma justice throughout this sort of next hour. But really what it is, what Nomisma actually is, the concept is that it's an end-to-end cloud-based accounting suite. So bookkeeping, payroll, accounts production, tax, and we also have a CRM whereby you can complete company secretarial, professional clearance, quotes and proposals, letters of engagements, all that lovely stuff, but in one place. So as I start going through the system, you'll see each of the modules, you'll see how they connect, how they're completely integrated with one another. But it's also quite interesting for me to mention here that don't be put off if you're not doing everything. So the modules can work completely independently of one another as well. So if it was just payroll that you needed, then you just can use the payroll. Similarly, if it was just the accounts production and tax side of things, then you can just use that by itself. So you don't need to use everything. You don't need to use the CRM, and that will later reflect in the billing when I come to explain that. So the billing is very flexible. We only bill you based on what you use. I've also just realized there must be a bit of chalk on my shirt. That's not dirt. I think it's a bit of chalk, but no one realized it probably until I drew attention to it, but just in case anyone was wondering. But yes, I'm going to stop talking now. I have a tendency to do that, and I'm going to just share my screen and start going through the sort of system. But if anyone has any questions along the way, please just pop them. If you can pop them in the chat box. So avoid the Q&A box, but put them in the chat box, and I'll do my best at answering those as we go. So for now, let's get this screen shared and ready to go. Perfect. Okay, great. I'm hoping now, if you don't mind, just popping in the chat box that you can see my screen, that would be really helpful. And then I can jump into it. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So yes, this is essentially the sort of the first screen that you as an agent will see when you first log into Nomisma. So just also as a side note, because this has happened before, this specific webinar is intended for bookkeepers and accountants. So if you are a business user, then this is not useful to you whatsoever. And I would suggest leaving this webinar. We do run another webinar at 2 p.m. intended for business users. So yes, if in that case, I'll see you later. But yes, if you're a bookkeeper or an accountant, then you're in the right place, and I'm going to start plugging through this now. So as an agent, when you first log into Nomisma, this is the screen that you'll see. So we recognized here at Nomisma, sort of, it was built as an in-practice tool, and what our aim is for that to transpire across everything that we do. Our messaging here at Nomisma, we are built for practice. So we are built for the accountant and for the bookkeeper to be able to complete all of your tasks and all of your workflows and all of your compliance work in one place with ease, with maximum efficiency, but also give you the option to, you know, say, for example, you were doing the bookkeeping not in-house and you're allowing your clients to do the bookkeeping, then we support that functionality as well through the bookkeeping app with mobile receipt capture, the payroll app, and the self-assessment app. So again, very flexible, but I think you'll find the sort of the user interface and the user experience over at Nomisma is very much built for, in this case specifically, for the accountant and bookkeeper in practice. So immediately you will sort of come to this, we call this your agent dashboard. So from here, from a practice management side of things, you get the practice management anyway with Nomisma. So if you had one bookkeeping client and you were just doing the bookkeeping for one client on Nomisma, that's absolutely fine. We don't have any minimum terms or requirements. So again, completely flexible to how you want to use it. But I use that as an example. So if you were doing the bookkeeping for one bookkeeping client, you would still see exactly what I'm seeing. So you would still be able to manage those deadlines, you would see the KPIs along the top, and you would also be able to manage all of your clients sort of in this box here. So the KPIs along the top really is an overview of what's going on within the practice as a whole. So we've recognized that these KPIs are the overall contributors to increasing productivity and efficiency within the practice. So you've always got those KPIs along the top. Pending receipts, for example, here you can see you've got 66 pending receipts across your practice. You can drill down into those and actually begin sort of plugging down into your client's name. Again, a pretty side note actually here, there's some dummy data in here, so some stuff you see might not make sense. I probably used the wrong demo account, but I'm sure everyone is competent to use their imagination a little bit. But you can see here, for example, you've got the company's name, your client, and they've got 3 unprocessed receipts. You can go into your client's dashboard, which will bring you through to the business dashboard later. Again, sorry about this is dummy account, but I'll show you that when we get there. But you can drill down into those numbers, begin processing receipts, which will in turn update all of your KPIs from the moment you log in. Similarly, the deadline management box on the right-hand side, when this loads, I think there's a bit of a problem with the Wi-Fi at the moment. But this deadline box here, so we are completely integrated with Companies House, HMRC, and your pension providers. So as a result of your live filings on Nomisma, final accounts, corporation tax, self-assessments, VAT, RTIs, that kind of thing, it will constantly update all of your deadlines and move everything onto the next period, bring over any balances, and constantly keep you updated with what's to go. So immediately from when you first log in, you can quite clearly see here that you've got 9 VAT returns that are overdue. Drill down into those clients. It will give you the list of all of those clients and the deadlines and the submission status. You can drill down into that client and file the VAT as necessary. I will come back to sort of, I know I'm whizzing through those bits, but just to give you a flavor of the practice management element. So the practice management transpires across every single module, which I'm hoping I'll do a great job of sort of showcasing. But yeah, I'll go into that a little bit more detail when we get to it. So deadlines there, KPIs along the top. Immediately, if I was to even go down into my final accounts here and went to my dashboard, from the agent perspective, you know, if you drill down into each of these things, you get the individual deadlines, tasks, and workflows for each of what's to come. So, you know, you can filter it down by accountants, so members of staff, freelance workers, colleagues. You can allocate different clients, different sort of tasks to each member of staff, and also manage that from a bird's eye view as an admin as well. But back to the dashboard. Now, I will show you sort of how to get people in, and then that leads me into sort of going into each of the modules. So if I was to just go to this plus button up here and go to new client, for example, this is where you would come to add your clients essentially as you go. So we're supportive of limited companies, sole traders, self-assessments, partnerships, PLCs, and LLPs. So if I was to immediately just click into limited company here, you'll be able to see the interconnection with Companies House straight away. So we're completely linked to Companies House. Search for your client's name. It will pull through all the records held by Companies House. It's a case of finding a client, That's the correct one. Let's say, for example, it brings through the company information, it brings through the information of all the directors for the self-assessment later on, and it will also open up the current accounting period held by Companies House as well. So you can actually get to work straight away. Now, that is how you would add someone in if you was to sort of do it on a one-by-one basis like that. I mean, it's quite nice as you pick up new clients to just add them in like so. But of course, everything can be done manually if that's necessary. You know, you can even create yourself dummy accounts if you really wanted to. We're not sort of discriminatory with information, but similarly, really important point to mention is that absolutely everything across the board at Nomisma is supported by CSV imports and exports. So anything you need to get in, anything you need to get out can all be done through sort of just your normal CSV mapping. But that's as far as adding new clients go. Now, the adding of new users, so there is a method to why I'm talking you through these bits, probably a bit like how to suck an egg right now, but sort of adding new clients, you can do it like that. That's the interconnection with HMRC and Companies House, and then adding new users. So from here, you can add as many accountant users as you like. So, you know, members of staff, colleagues, freelance workers, you can give everyone their own access, and you can submit the correct, what's the word I'm looking for? Permissions per accountant. Or user, so what they see, what they don't see, what they can do, what they can't do, that kind of thing. You can do that here. And also your business user. So you can give all of your business users a login to Nomisma, whereby they can then have access to the cloud version like I'm showing you. So they'll be able to log in, see their own sort of bookkeeping profile. They can raise invoices, they can chase invoices. From the bookkeeping app, they can take pictures of receipts and upload their receipts ready for you to process. They can enable their bank feeds from the app. So all your sort of standard bookkeeping functionalities your client can do on the bookkeeping app. We have a payroll app whereby, you know, all of your, if you wanted to, your clients can have access to the payroll app. They can see all the P45s, P60s, any of the employees of your client as well can also see all of their remaining holiday. They can submit expense reimbursements. They can request annual leave. And more importantly, actually, the main thing I missed is they'll be able to sort of get all of their pay slips in there as well. So as you run the payroll, each of the employee will have their own login to the Nomisma payroll app, and they can see their pay slips in real time once you've run them. Similarly, they can actually request the P60, P45 from the employer, i.e. your client, and your client will have their own admin view of the payroll, whereby they can ping that P60 or P45 across once it's been completed by you. So that's the bookkeeping, the payroll app. And we also have a self-assessment app as well. So the self-assessment app is a communication tool between you and all of your clients. So, you know, when it comes to like the tax questionnaire, you can ping them the tax questionnaire and the self-assessment. They can send it back to you completed. You can process it onto their self-assessment. And when it's ready to be filed, you can ping it back to them and they can sign it with their finger on their phone, ping it back to you, and you can remain compliant and file the tax return. Then leading into all of your deadlines are constantly being updated as well once that's done. I also realized that I'm probably talking a million miles per hour right now, so I will slow down, but so excited, so much to cover. But yes, that's really the sort of the admin ad hoc side of things of how to get people in, but also demonstrate that functionality of sort of flexibility that you have and what you want to, your sort of service offering to your clients. So you've got all of that at your fingertips, should you wish. Now, I'm going to go straight into, I'm more going to tailor this to sort of from the individual client perspective. So as if you was actually doing the work for one client in the module, and try and touch on sort of the agent benefits of doing so as I go. So if I head, I'm actually going to go to self-assessment first, just because it's the most simple to explain, but also my favorite. So if I head into self-assessment from, I'm in your agent dashboard. So the Simpsons is, this is your, so this could be ABC Accountancy Limited. This would be your practice name, and this would be where you manage the whole practice from. So if I was to go into my self-assessment and then go into my client list, Here you will see all of your self-assessment clients listed on Nomisma. So what I failed to mention actually in the beginning is the difference with Nomisma with the sort of the end-to-end accounting suite is that the example I tend to use is a direct limited company that you're doing bookkeeping and payroll for. So if you were doing the bookkeeping for a direct limited company, as a result of you doing the bookkeeping for that limited company, what's happening is the accounts are being produced ready for submission in real time. The director's self-assessment is also being produced with any of the data from the bookkeeping ready to be filed. And any payroll that's run that relates to that limited company, if it was a director only payroll, let's say, it's posting the wages journals into the bookkeeping and it's also updating the self-assessment of the necessary party. So where sort of people probably are used to using, you know, a bookkeeping software along with accounts production software, along with a payroll software, having to import, export, cross-reference data, that sort of things. Nomisma essentially has just, it's ended that. The basis is like a single ledger. You do one thing in the bookkeeping and it populates all the other necessary fields as necessary, and you don't have to worry about it again. But again, that being said, for those that are still joining, this is the, you can use the modules completely independently of one another. So you don't have to use all the modules. But yeah, that was the main point that I should have mentioned in the beginning, sort of what the essence of Nomisma is, but we're here now. So I will start plugging through the self-assessment module, and then we'll go into the business, onto the business level, and show you how that operates from a bookkeeping and final accounts perspective. So heading into my self-assessment client list, you will see here all of your self-assessment clients listed in list view. Again, without explaining all of the practice management, there's just a lot of practice management inherently built into Nomisma. So you'll see the tax due, any payment on accounts that are due, the submission status. So if this was a live account, given that we're completely interconnected with HMRC, you would see the submission status here, whether it's failed, pending, submitted, you'll get the IR mark back. And again, it's just giving you that ability to see what's been done and what needs to be done. You've got this internal work status capability as well. So, you know, if you're managing large data sets of self-assessment clients, or even just 5, you know immediately just from looking at this work status where you're at with that client and what needs to be done in order to progress, essentially. Now, if I drill down into a client's dashboard specifically for self-assessment, so Alan Test here is my client name. So this is my self-assessment client. Each of your self-assessment clients will get their own dashboard like so. So again, this is all just tying into that practice management. You've got an internal work board here. So I don't even know what the date is today. It's the 8th of the 9th. You can just go ahead and record any notes that are necessary for you, just an internal sort of work, and that will be there every time you come back until you remove it. So everything is done periodically, so you'll always be able to refer to previous periods in order to gain the previous documents, see all of your previous work, that kind of thing. So everything is done periodically and you can access those different periods from the top menu. In this case, you can see here the key figures. This is just as a result of any data entry that I've done on the actual self-assessment. And then you've got this work status note setting capability as well, where you can just go ahead and select what stage you're at with that client, add any notes, save that, and that will transpire back to your agent dashboard, where you can sort of where I showed you on the right-hand side, that internal sort of work status capability. But actually sort of getting, you know, down and dirty with the actual self-assessment is as simple as sort of coming to this page. It's a case of you clicking into the relevant field, filling in the relevant boxes. It's a direct match of the HMRC portal. So no surprises here. Just a case of you know, within dividend, find the correct part of the form, fill it in, and this is creating the form that I'm going to show you later on. But it's just a case of, yeah, your data entry filling in. But tying into what I've just mentioned about the sort of integration and cross integration of modules, if you were doing the bookkeeping, if this was a director of a limited company and you were doing the bookkeeping for them, you can see here, I mean, again, no data, but Nomisma Solution Limited is the limited company that this person is the director of. And in an ideal world, with the bookkeeping being done correctly, the dividends would just come straight over to here and populate the director self-assessment with that relevant information. Similarly, now I won't go through every single sort of page for self-assessment, probably because most of you know what's in there off by heart. But again, just sort of going into that self-employment aspect, if Alan was in fact a sole trader, then you could link the sole trader, the sole trade bookkeeping profile to this part of the self-assessment, and it would pull through that data and update it seamlessly for you. But yes, income from property, again, just to sort of demonstrate, the numbers are a direct match to that of the HMRC form. So just a case of coming in, filling it in, and it will produce the form for you. So this is it's probably quite a bad habit of mine actually, but this is like the quick access. So you can access it from here, but everything on the left-hand side here, don't worry too much about, because you can go in and this is just a match of what's on the quick access. So I'm not skipping loads, just so you know. You've got your tax relief section there, student loan, but you'll navigate this pretty fine. As I say, there's no surprises. You've got foreign income availability, you can do that on here as well. But really the bread and butter of it is that once you've done your data entry for your self-assessment, regardless if you've done that manually or if you're doing it in the bookkeeping somewhere or you've imported the trial balance, it will just update this for you. But other than that, just a case of your data entry, and it will produce all of your documents. So if I head into the Documents tab of Alan in real time as a result of your data entry, what it's doing is it's just producing the self-assessment form, it's producing the tax calculation summary. So if I just open those, and now they just take a few moments to sort of generate over there. Essentially, it's just creating, we've also in the self-assessment form, it's creating that. Basically, it's pulling the data from your data entry, it's creating the form. For example, here, so it's loaded now, just pulls through the data, find some that's actually got some data in it. Yeah, just pulls through those figures essentially. Similarly, you've got the tax calculation there, so the 302 just produces itself as a document. And everything here, they're all the documents similar to those, just referring to obviously the title of the document. So they will always be produced in real time periodically. So if I was to go ahead and change something now, I would just press that button again and it would have already updated here. But yes, so all of your documents can be found here. You can download everything as PDFs, so you can hard store anything if you're using an external hard drive. But it's also a really good point for me to mention here that obviously we are completely cloud-based and we are backed up by the AWS server. So everything's super safe, super secure. I think banks use the AWS server. So that just, goes to show our commitment to data protection, data privacy. So that is that. It will produce all the documents. You've got the ability to download everything. But further to that, you can sort of, if you can connect your personal or professional email to Nomisma and actually do all of your emailing from Nomisma as well. So if I wanted to email that self-assessment, anything to that client, so Ash is my client here, even though it's Alan, you can select your own sort of email templates. You can create all of these from the admin level. I mean, some of them probably, yeah, there's nothing here, but you get the picture. You can create your email templates. It will produce itself. It will pull through all the data that's necessary. We use a tagging system. And then you can just go ahead and actually, attach the self-assessment form, attach the tax calculation, and send that directly to your client for approval. So yeah, you've got the email functionality, and you've also got this internal document storage capability as well. So any documents that were necessary for Alan to be kept here for this period, if it's a selfie or something more important than the selfie, you can keep all of that here. Everything's in the cloud, so you can just keep whatever you want here, and it will always be there. Interestingly, so this one's been done, but you can send your tax questionnaire from Nomisma. So I'll show you that a bit later on, but you can ping them the tax questionnaire. They can answer it from their email, and the answers of the tax calculation will come back into their portal. So not tax calculation, tax questionnaire, sorry. So in this case, if I was to view it, here is a standard sort of self-assessment questionnaire. So you would have sent this to your client, they answered it, and you've then got that in their portal to action and begin transferring the data across onto the self-assessment. But yes, that is that. Now, I'm just going to pause here for a moment. Are there, before I do that, the communications tab, so you've got the audit and the trail of all the communication that you've had with your self-assessment client here as well. So this is mapped to your email. So for example, if you were using Gmail or Outlook, you would set your own email up on here. So anything that you email from here is coming from your Gmail, and you will see it in your Gmail account as sent, and anything that's replied will be in your Gmail account as well. So your email address is just mapped to Nomisma. The emailing is nothing to do with Nomisma. But yeah, we're getting a bit technical now. I won't bore you with that, but I'm just going to pause for a moment here and see if there are any questions that I can help out with self-assessment at all. No questions either means everyone's fallen asleep, or I've done an amazing job at explaining it. So I'll just wait a few more moments and make my own assumption of why there were no questions. Perfect. So self-assessment, pretty self-explanatory. That's why I'm going to go that there were no questions. So yes, that is self-assessment from the individual level. So I didn't even show you how to submit. So once you were ready to do that, you can review the tax calculation, you can review the self-assessment, and then you can go ahead and just file that directly to HMRC. So you can file that directly to HMRC. You can validate the submission. So we'll pick up any discrepancies, anything that doesn't look sort of correct, and it will give you a fake status as to whether it would pass or fail at HMRC level before you were to do anything. Any notes for HMRC here, and then just go ahead and file that directly to HMRC, which will in turn update all of your deadlines and move everything on to the next period. So you can do this from the agent level by default. So when you first set up your Nomisma app, you'll put all of your agent credentials in for HMRC, for Companies House, and then you can go ahead. Well, your filing would just come from those credentials specifically, but across the board, whether it's for corporation tax, anything to do with bookkeeping, or self-assessment, you can, if necessary, as long as you're compliant, of course, send anything from the credentials of your client as well. But yes, that is the final step to self-assessment. So if everyone's happy, I'm going to come out of self-assessment from the individual level now and come back to my agent dashboard. Now, as far as self-assessment goes, there's a lot of cool practice management functionalities that you'll get. So moving away from the actual work, if I was to go into the self-assessment dashboard, again, it gives you all of those KPIs for all of your self-assessment clients. It gives you the breakdown of accountant or user who those self-assessments are sort of assigned to, and you can begin sending your tax questionnaire from here if you wanted to. Annoyingly, I don't think it will let me do anything because this period is locked, but yes, you would be able to send your tax questionnaire, and what that is really is just an online URL. So you can send your email, send your tax questionnaire, they click the link in their email, they fill in the tax questionnaire, they press submit, and what happens is that answered tax questionnaire automatically gets sent to the individual's portal, and you can then action it. Similarly, we obviously have the self-assessment app. So everything that I've just shown you on here, you can do in the app, and they can answer in the app as well. So it's a lot easier than sort of the email communication. If you wanted to sort of, revolutionize and digitalize everything, you can indeed. But that is it for self-assessment, really. So I'm going to move on from self-assessment now and head into my client list on Nomisma. So over on the client list side of things, you will see some self-assessments in there as well, but this is essentially where you would just find all of your clients. So limited companies, sole traders, individuals, payroll clients, that kind of thing. Now, the example account I'm going to use is Barney's. Let's just go for that, Barney. Okay, perfect. So here you can see that I do the bookkeeping, the final accounts, and the payroll for Barney's Bowlerama. Now, if you obviously just did the bookkeeping, you wouldn't see these. If you just did the payroll, you wouldn't see these. It just massively depends on the service offering you're doing for each client. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I do everything for Barney's. So I'm going to go ahead and just click into his bookkeeping profile. So by clicking into his bookkeeping profile, this now brings me to the individual dashboard of Barney's. So this is where you would begin doing the work for your client. So you can do all of the bookkeeping, banking, and VAT here. You can access the payroll for Barney's, the final accounts, and the self-assessment as well. So on an individual client level basis, you can manage everything in one screen. Now, similar to the agent dashboard, the business dashboard has their own KPIs sort of along the top. So you can see the 3 pending receipts for Barney's transcends from the 66 pending receipts across your practice. So yes, that didn't take a genius to figure out, but yeah, so this is the dashboard. You have all of your client can have access to this. You know, depending on the rights you've given them, depending on what you want them to see or not see, you are able to, they're able to log into this as well. Now, again, everything is done periodically. You can set your own periods on the Nomisma. We don't limit functionality in that way at all. You can have a month's period if that was necessary. You can create all of your own nominal codes and ledgers, and you can make it really bespoke for reporting purposes for each of your clients on an individual level if you wanted to. But heading on down into the sales dashboard. So the sales dashboard looks like so. We use a traffic light system. So anything in green is paid, anything in amber is unpaid, anything, sorry, partially paid, anything in red is unpaid. So you can quite easily keep track of the payment management here. Your client can raise invoices and chase the invoice to the customer via email, via the app on here. So you're able to do that, create sort of on-brand invoices. Yeah, this is where you sort of manage all of those invoices here. So you can see those. Moving on into sort of the actual function behind this. So there's various different ways that this invoice will be shown here. It can be imported through CSV. It can be uploaded by your client themselves through the app, through this sort of the computer version, or it can be a case of you as the agent adding them manually, like so. Choose the customer, add any new customers as you go, record the invoice. We're supportive of foreign exchange and also CIS invoicing as well. So you can set that all up and set up some chaser emails as well. So yes, that's how to create an invoice. You've got the ability to do any repeat invoices, any batch entries, credit notes, VAT onlys. You can create new quotes and new jobs from here as well. And here's your import CSV function, if that was necessary. Expenditure dashboard, pretty much the same. It looks exactly the same, except from here you will be obviously recording all of the bills. But yes, that is that. Then moving into banking, you can have as many bank accounts on here as you'd like, credit card accounts, petty cash accounts. We are supportive of bank feeds. So we use TrueLayer as our third-party connection for bank feeds. So whoever TrueLayer integrate with bank-wise, you will be able to enable those bank feeds in the Nomisma as well. If TrueLayer don't integrate with the desired bank, it's just a case of you putting in a request with TrueLayer. They use a tally system. So the more people that request a bank, the quicker they sort of bump up their integration partnerships with that bank, if it's possible. But of course, if they don't integrate with a bank feed per se, then you can create the bank manually in Nomisma and import your CSVs as necessary if you weren't using, if you weren't using bank feeds as well, if your client didn't want to, or you were still doing everything through CSV, you can go ahead and import those bank transactions through CSV. But heading on into my unreconciled transactions at this bank, typically there's only one here. So in an ideal, well, not an ideal world, actually, you would just have like a whole list of those unreconciled transactions. So here you would see either all of the live bank feeds that are yet to be reconciled, or your import of CSV bank transactions here as well. So you can then easily manage all of your unreconciled transactions in one place. Now, Nomisma has an ability to be able to pick up any matches. So, for example, here you can see that I've received £1,920 from a potential customer, and immediately it has recognized that it could in fact be from the customer Homer. So you would have a whole list of your bank transactions here, and it's constantly cross-referencing itself with the expenditure and sales that relates to this account. So it will always give you a recommendation if it's possible. And if it's correct, just press the green tick. And what it would do is reconcile it to the correct customer ledger here. Customer ledger, sales ledger, and you can go ahead and then reconcile that payment. And what it will do is it will clear itself from the unreconciled list like there is here. And it would also mark the payment as paid over on the sales invoicing perspective. So it would automatically mark that number as green to let you know that it's been paid. So you can set up all sorts of bank rules as well. So you can set up bank rules, if the date and the transaction exactly match an invoice, it can just automatically allocate itself to that. But you still have complete control over that, by the way. So there's sort of a duality in the sense that when you came into your unreconciled tab, if you like I am now, and you had the bank feed set up, it would look like this. So it wouldn't just reconcile, you would still have to press the reconcile button. So it just gives you that option to double check everything before going ahead and then having to undo the reconciliation process later if it wasn't in fact correct. But yes, that is, if anyone would like me to do a live example of raising an invoice and adding a bank transaction manually, just to show you how this sort of feature works, then do let me know, because I can do that. But yeah, hopefully my explanation will suffice. But if it doesn't, let me know and I can do it, because it's quite interesting. But at the same time, so much to do. So that is sales and expenditure and banking. Now, moving into your VAT returns. So we are MTD compliant and will be for MTD ITSA very soon as well. But for MTD VAT, you can go ahead and as a result of the bookkeeping and invoicing and VAT settings of this particular client, the VAT return will be automatically populated. You can go ahead and email the VAT returns out. You can go in and view them. Again, apologies about some of the data here, but you or your client can go ahead and file these VAT returns directly to HMRC, which is in turn going to populate all of your deadlines as well. So you can just go ahead and submit that. Okay, so moving on from the bookkeeping perspective, the MTD settings, that's just for the access code. So you can do that. We'll help you do that as well if you're not familiar with how to do that. Advisor tools, I don't think there's too much sort of importance in here. I think it's just a case of you can journal anything, you can import trial balances, you can create your own nominals and ledgers. Not sure what's going on there. Oh, you can see it from there anyway. So advisor tools, there's another way here, nominal codes, journals, reconcile. So just your admin view of this client. here. Okay, brilliant. So that is pretty much the bookkeeping side of things. I know I've whizzed through that. There's a lot more functionality and cool, quirky things that I'm sure you can do, but just in the interest of time, if I was to now drill down straight into final accounts of Barney's, what you will see is it will bring you through to a brand new final accounts dashboard. So over here, we've got all of your bookkeeping kind of stuff. You press final accounts and it brings you through to the final accounts dashboard of Barney's. So immediately, if I was to go into final accounts and go to full accounts, as a result of all of my bookkeeping that I've just done in real time, your FRS 105 or 102.1a will just be automatically produced here. So it pulls through the information from the bookkeeping and it creates the accounts for you. So you can go ahead and edit any of these notes depending on your professional body. Any of the notes you can update, upload, and do whatever you want with the notes. But just to show you how it's sort of pulled the data through from the bookkeeping, you can actually drill down into each of those as well and see what they're made up of. So if you notice a discrepancy here, then you'll notice that at Nomisma we have tabbing functionality. So you realize, okay, that doesn't look quite right. I've done something wrong there. Let's go back to the bookkeeping, make the amendment, and already the final accounts are updated based on what you've done in the bookkeeping. So sort of what I was mentioning earlier is, of course, it's great if you're doing the bookkeeping because this will just be done for you. But if you weren't doing the bookkeeping and you just looking for an accounts production side of things, then it's just a case of you wouldn't see the bookkeeping profile. You would just see the final accounts dashboard, and then you can go in and import your trial balance and it will do exactly the same as to what I'm showing you here. So there's your final accounts. You've got the functionality to also do your CT600 here. So you can go in and start, I probably clicked on the wrong thing there, but this is just going to produce your tax calculation. But yeah, it's a direct match of the HMRC portal once again. So it's just a case of you filling in the necessary points here. You've then got the option. So if I was to head into the documents tab, for example, so as a result of your data entry, it's going to create the full accounts for you as a PDF and the draft accounts as well with draft written all over them, all your CT600 stuff here. You've got this internal storage capability relating to that period in final accounts if that was necessary. But you've also got the email functionality. So you can go ahead once you've done the accounts and they're ready to go, email your client once again, choose your template, for example. So this is just an approval sort of template by default. It pulls through all of the information relating to the final accounts of this person, and you can go ahead and attach the draft accounts ready to send directly to your client. And you can just send that and that will arrive in their email with the attached accounts, and then they can approve them. There is no e-signature function here yet. That is coming. It's just a communication functionality that we have at the moment, but in times to come, similar to that of self-assessment. Self-assessment, you already can do the e-signing, but final accounts you can't, but it's coming hopefully soon. But yeah, then it's really a case of you going ahead and submitting the accounts to Companies House, submitting the CT600 to HMRC. And again, I'll reiterate, all of your deadlines are constantly being updated and refreshed over on the agent dashboard. So you submit it here and immediately in your deadlines, this will update to the next deadline. And then you can sort of move on with life and do what you need to do. But yeah, any questions about final accounts at all? The types of accounts that we support, by the way, are FRS 105s, 102.1as, and dormant accounts. So as far as charities, trusts, and estates go, we don't support them, but we are ramping up interest to see if that's something, for one, that people want, but two, if it's going to be feasible our end. But also a very good point for me to mention, we're super open to customer feedback. So a lot of what you see in the Nomisma is offer feedback. We work with accountants and bookkeepers. Essentially, we're creating a software for you, so we want you to be able to use it in the best way possible, and we can't do that without your feedback. So it's very much welcomed as and when you'd like. But that is the final accounts functionality. Now, what's the time? Okay, so I've got 15 minutes. What what I'll do is I'll run through the payroll, and then I will give you a brief overview of the billing structure, and what sort of next steps are available for you should Nomisma be of interest. The CRM, while I'm here, I'll just talk about the CRM quickly. So I won't have a chance to show you the CRM because that's like a sort of a whole nother realm of coolness in itself, and I just don't have the time. But I can do one-to-one sessions on the CRM. So everyone will have my link after this and my direct email. So if that's something that you're interested in, then we can go ahead and get that session booked in. But the CRM really is your end-to-end onboarding capability. So quotes and proposals, letters of engagement, value-based pricing matrix, AML, company secretarial, professional clearance, I think I already said that, and just overall like managing your sort of data and sort of leads generation, marketing, deadlines, that kind of thing. Although you already get the deadline management with Nomisma anyway, outside of the CRM, the practice management you already get, because I've shown you it all in here, but we haven't touched on anything CRM today, and we probably won't be either, other than my lovely comment just then. But yeah, any questions about the final accounts at all? I'll just hold on for 2 seconds. Great, nothing. So let's go back to the business dashboard. So as far as reports go, by the way, so we give you all the lovely sort of standard juicy reports. All of these reports are sort of also done in real time. So if I was to go into the P&L, for example, this financial year, this period, you can sort of do some comparative analysis on those as well, should you wish. So it will give you the comparative. You can download everything as a PDF and you can supply this to your client. If you give them a read-only version, they can come in and actually see these reports in real time if they wanted to. So yeah, it will create all of your reports here. But moving into the payroll, so the payroll, again, is obviously quite a data entry driven function. So there's a few things that I could sort of objectively mention that we do that is quite useful, that other providers might not be doing. So we have a direct integration with 5 pension providers. So Legal & General, Smart, Aviva, People's, and Nest, the big one. How did I forget? Yeah, so we have a direct integration with those guys. So as a result of you doing the sort of the payroll on here and the pension contributions, it's just a case of you filing that directly to the respective parties. So you don't need to export, import anywhere else. You can do it all from here. You can submit the RTIs from here, send out all of the pay slips, give the employees their own access. You can manage all of the leave on here as well. You can also run, so this is what the payroll dashboard looks like, by the way. So if you were just doing the payroll as well, this is all you would see. So you can just do the payroll for Barney's here. But if I was to, let's say, go into edit company, so you would already be taken through this process when you're initially setting your client up. So just a case of you sort of populating all of the standard details. Payroll details, payroll settings. So you can actually have multiple payroll frequencies on here as well. So if different members of staff are on different payroll schedules, you can set as many sort of frequency schedules up as you'd like on here. We have the automatic payroll. So for example, this is really useful. Let's say for a direct limited company up to the threshold, you could just set the payroll up and that will just run itself every month and do the filings as necessary. So you can set that up. We're supportive of auto enrollment as well. So it will ping you any message if anything needs to be changed per employee. Allowances and schemes, all of that cool stuff. Pension details, so set that up. It will create the link with the pension provider, and then anyone that's due the pension contributions, it will just do it automatically when you run the payroll. Not automatically when you run the payroll, sorry, it will produce the report to send to the pension provider. But you've got the general terms here, so common contractual terms, so you can sort of set up the common contractual terms of the company wide, so that when you're doing any leave management or sickness or processing any of that, depending on the common contractual terms of the company, it just sort of blankets everyone and makes that really seamless in being able to offer that as a service if you're not already. But yes, bank details, so you can create that, and Nomisma will produce the BACS form as well, should you want it to. So that's really the general setup of payroll on the individual level. Now, if I was to go into sort of each of the employees will have their own dashboard. So you can click into the dashboard of an employee and you will see all of the previous pay dates. You can edit any of the employee details, the employees, sort of the employees details and the employees what's the word I'm looking for? Contractual terms as well. So that will cross-reference itself with the blanketed common contractual terms as necessary, and it will do all the calculations for you. Go ahead and view the payslip. So we have a green or a blue payslip, not very creative on the payslip side of things, but it can be on brand. So you can add the company logo and stuff like that as well. But yes, this is just an example, sort of a very basic example of the payslip. But heading into the filing management, so all of your filing will be done from here. So as a result of you running the payroll, you can see here, so the payroll filing, it will create the FPS. You can go ahead and submit that to HMRC, again, updating all of your deadlines. Similarly, it will create the pension filings. So you can go ahead and submit the enrollment and contributions directly to that provider. You can do that from here. And any P11Ds that are necessary as well, you can go ahead and file that. So again, this is updating all of your deadlines. So you'll know where you're at with the filing management, with the payroll. What else is next? Tax payment. So all of your tax payments here, any adjustments, that kind of thing, you'll see everything and the breakdown, and you'll be able to find this in all of the reports as well, and also sort of record any CIS suffered as necessary on here. Again, everything, absolutely everything can be emailed out from Nomisma. So if I actually go to the payroll dashboard and I go to run payroll as an example, it will give you the breakdown of each of the employees here. So you just double check that that's correct. And then you've got the option to send the payslip. So it will either send it to your client as the main contact, to the individual employees if you've set their email up, or if you don't send it and you want it to be available in here normally, because this person isn't set up on the app, it would say ping it to the app or something like that. So they would be able to access the password protected payslips in the app. So it's GDPR compliant if it's in the app, because it's password protected. Each employee will have to have their own login to get into their portal. But if you didn't want to use the payroll app and you wanted to email the payslips out to the employees, then you can password protect the payslip. So there's the compliance side of things. Leave management, so you can begin adding any leave that's necessary here. So depending on the common contractual terms and the employee's contractual terms, this will sort of just work itself out. If it was sick leave, you put the start and end date, and then it will just like work itself out, and you can save that and it will add it to the payroll. So yes, that's that. But finally, you've got the report side of things. So for example, you've got all of these juicy reports here. If I went into P60, P45, what you'd expect really, you can just go in and view the P60. It's automatically created there. Similarly, I don't know if there will be any P45s. Oh, there will be. You can go in, view that, and then as necessary, really, email it out to the employer, to the employees, or if you gave your client access to this, they could provide that to their employees, so they don't have to come through you if you didn't want them to, and take that burden off, let's say. But that is the payroll. Any questions about the payroll at all? I know I whizzed through that super quickly, but I hope I got some good points in there, really. I'll just hang about for a couple of questions on the payroll while I get my screen ready next for the billing. Nope, no questions for payroll, and I've still got everyone here. That is awesome news. Okay, perfect. Hello? Oh, I don't know what I've done there. Am I still live? Oh yeah, I am. I stopped my screen share. Apologies for that. 1 second. I thought I ended the meeting for a second. Let's go over to here. Okay, great. So yes, I hope you enjoyed that. Now, I sort of want to induce that FOMO in everyone. There's a lot more to see. We haven't even touched upon CRM, haven't touched upon even half of the practice management that you guys will have access to, like mass mailing and that kind of thing. You've got all of that at your disposal. But for now, okay, got a question. So just hold on 2 seconds. Let's go for that question. Yes, there will be. So there will be a recording of this, and what I will do is for all of the registrants, I will email you a copy of this recording, along with a few extra links as well. So for now, in case you sort of missed a big bulk of that for the person that just asked me a question, I'm actually just ending the sort of demo of the software itself. And I'm going to go ahead and just talk about the billing now. So from the billing perspective. So this is, if I come to our website and then I go down to the billing. So this is the way that we bill. So we bill on a 30-day rolling period. So we don't have any contracts, minimum terms, or minimum requirements. It's just a case of you paying for what you use. So if you have a client on the bookkeeping and VAT, then we will bill you £5 plus VAT per client per month. But that gives you access to 2 self-assessment submissions and the account submissions and CT 600. So a £5 a month, and you get everything that I've spoken about. So we don't have any internal, hidden, or extra fees anywhere. Everything that I've shown you today would be absorbed into that £5. Plus, you would get the submission of a set of accounts and 2 self-assessment submissions if your client was on the bookkeeping. Similarly, the payroll, so we charge £3 plus VAT per payroll client, and that is for 10 employees. Any employees over 10 is charged at 50p per employee, but £3 for the payroll. And again, that gives you access to absolutely everything I've talked about today. So all of the apps, all of that kind of stuff. So that would either be in addition to the £5, or if it was just the payroll you were doing, then you just pay for the payroll for that client. Then the final accounts and self-assessments. So if you were doing the bookkeeping for the client that needed the final accounts and self-assessments, of course, you already get that in the £5 per month, so ignore this. But if you were just doing the accounts production and self-assessment side of things, then we charge only on a submission basis. So you can use Nomisma for the whole year, but it's only at the point of submission that we'll then bill you £5 per submission. So the reason this says £2, we're actually in the process of changing this, but it's £5 plus VAT per submission. But you've also got the option, if you wanted to, it's £5 on a pay-as-you-go system, but if you wanted to buy licenses in advance, then you will qualify for sort of the economies of scale and could get it down to as low as £2 per submission. So that's the billing. There's nothing else to it. That is the way it works. So if you've got 1 client or 100 clients, you just pay for what you're using. Cancel anytime policy. So that is that. I'm not going to talk about the CRM because we haven't covered the CRM. There is an additional price for the CRM if you wanted that, but it's probably best to talk about that when you send the CRM. But from the compliance function and everything that I've just shown you, this is how the billing stacks up. Now, going forward, we do one-to-one demos. So if you wanted a one-to-one with myself to go into any of the modules in more detail or sort of CRM, I'll send you an email with those links. Similarly, you can get it from the website as well, should you want to. But as far as the support team goes, we've got an amazing support team. Go check out our reviews with regards to the support team. Don't just take it from me. They're contactable via phone, live chat, and email. We use the ticketing system. So you can go ahead. We've got, a great support team. We'll do any training that's necessary, one-to-one training. We constantly pump out YouTube content that you'll be able to sort of stay up to date with. There's loads of training on there, loads of manuals. I will provide the YouTube link with you as well. But there's our CEO, Simon Guest, interview with Accounting Web the other day, which is quite cool. But yeah, there's loads of videos on here, which I'll share. And similarly, the any data migration. So if you are wanting to move from any other providers, we can help with all the data migration. So yes, there's a world of opportunity here at Nomisma, and it's all yours for the taking. So what I would do is I'll hang around for a few questions at the end. Well, now, but I will, everyone will have my direct line going forward. So if there's anything that I can help with, get you set up with, then please let me know. But I've missed the biggest thing. We do 14-day free trials. So your own Nomisma account, either go to the website and apply for it yourself. I'll probably be the one that sets it up anyway, or feel free to just pop me an email in response to the email that I'm going to send you, and I'm happy to send you some login credentials. And you can make use of the support team. It's a live account, so if there's any filings you need to do throughout the trial period, you can do so. But yes, I will say thank you very much to everyone that joined this afternoon now. Perfect timing, if I do say so myself, but if I can, yeah, I'll hang around for a few questions and we'll go from there. Perfect. Now everyone's dropping off pretty quickly. So I will bid you farewell and look out for my email. If there's anything that does come to mind afterwards, then happy days. Please do just contact me and I'll be delighted to help. Thank you very much. Take care.